So what is going on with Fallout? Right now we find ourselves in a very weird spot where we genuinely have no idea when the next Fallout game is coming. Fallout 5 could drop in 2029 or maybe even 2035. Both of those are entirely plausible dates. And just recently we've been able to see how Bethesda actually shut down some of the Fallout spin-offs or even some of the Elder Scrolls spin-offs games that were proposed. But with that in mind, Bethesda has given us some very interesting updates on Fallout this week. And right now it's looking like Fallout may have one of its biggest years ever in 2024, and I think right now is the time to start getting hyped about that. But I don't want you to just be excited for Fallout in 2024. I also want you to be excited about what you're going to eat this week. That with today's video sponsor, Factor. With Factor, you'll get a giant box of meals delivered right to your front door, and congrats, now you don't need to worry about cooking this week. I am incredibly lazy, but Factor meals are ready in just 2 minutes in the microwave, and hey, you don't even have to use a plate if you don't want to. And these taste great because they're never frozen, and just look at how happy I am with my ready in 2 minutes or less filet mignon. And for you, Factor can cover all of the bases. It tastes better, it's ready faster, and it's even healthier than eating out, since you can pick the right meals for you, whether that be a certain diet type or just in general. Factor has over 27 meal options to choose from each week. But I know for some of you, even 2 minutes is actually a long time. Thankfully, Factor still has you covered with some incredible shakes and smoothies, so even the laziest of gamers won't go hungry. But since you watched this video, you'll get an even better deal. Use my link, go to go.factor75.com and use code POGJUICEDECK50 for 50% off your first box. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code with your phone. As of right now, there are 4 confirmed new releases on the horizon when it comes to Fallout. The first and nearest one is likely to be the Fallout 4 next-gen version, as well as the Fallout TV show. Last year, Bethesda very casually announced that Fallout 4 would be getting a free next-gen update in 2023, and the details on this were truly exciting. Higher frame rates, perhaps you can finally play it over 60 FPS, but also things like 4K gameplay, bug fixes, and even some bonus Creation Club content, which, if Bethesda takes a card out of Skyrim's book, this is likely going to be a bunch of the old, unreleased Creation Club content that could genuinely make a nice mini DLC with this free update to the game. But then, over the course of 2023, Bethesda was just radio silent, or at least they were up until a couple of weeks ago when it was revealed that the Fallout 4 next-gen version would be delayed into 2024. It seems pretty likely that this will now be dropping around the same time as the Fallout TV show, and perhaps even include some tie-ins with the Fallout TV show, as over the last couple of weeks we have seen a major media blitz for the Fallout TV show, including a gigantic booth at CCXP, along with a major new trailer being revealed, and then a slightly edited version of that same trailer with a couple of new scenes. And with the show releasing on April 12th, that gives Bethesda a healthy amount of time to polish this next-gen update for Fallout 4 and maybe even add in some TV show integrations. CDPR saw a gigantic surge in Cyberpunk 2077 players and sales when their show Edgerunners dropped. And it wasn't just a surge in players, this was absolutely gigantic for Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red. It led to their best Q3 in the company's history, that was only now beat recently with the release of Phantom Liberty this Q3. So you have to imagine Bethesda saw that and recognized that. They want to create a similar degree of success with Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and the Fallout TV show. So I wouldn't be shocked if the next-gen update was delayed specifically to make it a more substantial crossover event, which means that Fallout 4 is likely to get at least a decent-sized update next year. And I mean, hey, they're already adding in some promotional materials into both Fallout 76 and Fallout Shelter. Although unfortunately, this update is almost certainly going to take its toll on the Fallout community, as mods will definitely break. The last major Fallout 4 update was in late 2019, that being one of the Creation Club updates, and really the last Creation Club update. This next-gen update will likely break some of the very large mods out there, but I would fully expect a mini mod apocalypse to occur here, as users are left waiting weeks to months for some of their favorite mods to get updated to the new version. As the simple reality is, many mod authors for Fallout 4 have moved on now. There likely will be this huge influx of new and returning players, but just make sure you protect your load order because things are definitely going to break. There's also been a lot of speculation that Fallout 4 is going to get this new creation system. Even just this past week, Creation Club credits for Fallout 4 were actually renamed and repriced to Fallout 4 Creations and Creation Credits. And when you see Fallout 4 Creations, it really looks like something is coming, but in reality, I think this is just going to be to keep things in line with what they're offering for Skyrim. Because with these credits, it wasn't just a name change, there was also a price change. These credits got slightly more expensive, so I think Bethesda is just carrying over that specific change to Fallout 4 and carrying over the name. Because while I did hear about this new marketplace or creations feature coming to Skyrim early last year and even made a video well before it released, I have not heard any similar rumors about it coming to Fallout 4. So perhaps it will come to Fallout 4, but at least as of right now, I am somewhat doubtful. But even just independent of that, it really seems like Fallout fans will be eating good with the release of the Fallout TV show. This is shaping up to be a very faithful adaptation, or at least faithful to some of the design styles you could see in Fallout 4, but the TV show will also clearly be exploring its own ideas as well. Vault 33 is going to be the main vault in the show, but there's also a Vault 32, and hey, even a third vault we haven't seen yet, as it was recently described how the three vaults are connected one to the other, and they have a distinct purpose, which we'll come to understand during the season, which hopefully, from the executive producer's perspective as a fan of the games, fits kind of deliciously into the larger world of the games. The Fallout TV show overall was concepted as more of a Fallout 5 as opposed to just a adaptation of the game. We set things after. We kind of told ourselves this is Fallout 5. This is just another installation, and we're starting with fresh snow, which genuinely makes me excited. From lots of the trailers, we see the familiar, the Brotherhood of Steel, back on full display, and that's there to get fans of the series excited. But it does seem like the show will expand and add on to the lore as well. And with an April release date, I think this means that even relatively early into 2024, Fallout fans should be eating pretty good. We don't actually know when the Fallout 4 Next Gen update may drop, but to me it seems pretty likely it'll be around the same time, in the first couple of quarters of 2024. But that other Fallout game also just got a pretty massive update, with its 2024 plans, as Fallout 76 will finally get a map expansion in 2024. And from what they've shown thus far, I'm honestly pretty hyped for this. And this is the first time in a long time that I've been hyped for some Fallout 76 content. Just a few weeks ago, Fallout 76 got its Atlantic City update. This implementing a new expedition taking place in Atlantic City, and yeah, it's fine. There are a couple of new missions, and you spend some time in a totally new and distinct feeling locale, but it is that familiar expedition formula. So you're really just here for the mission and then you leave. Fortunately, in just a few months in March, part 2 of this is coming, described as having story-driven quests as well as more open areas to explore, and you'll even take on a completely new cryptid with the Jersey Devil. But that isn't what got me talking about Fallout 76 again, as slightly later in this article they describe how later in 2024 the Fallout 76 map will finally be expanding southward into a new area known as Shenandoah, and this will be coming with a totally new questline, new factions, and new rewards. And for once, it really feels like we are getting a proper Fallout 76 expansion. Based on the shared concept image, you can see a few things. The new area will be focused around Shenandoah National Park, which is a real-world park in Virginia, but also Vault 63 will finally be implemented into the game. Vault 63 has been in the game since release, but it never actually opened. Inside, it was just in complete disarray. It had active fires, but also references to a reactor. Although, of course, all of this is several years old now, so who knows which direction they specifically take this vault in. On this concept map, it does look like it has the scorched visual, so at least part of that design will likely continue. But of course, the big standout from this concept art is the visual of this red beam causing some kind of electrical storm, and it honestly reminds me a bit of St. Elmo's fire in a weird way. As of right now, it isn't entirely clear who or what this is. But at first glance, I think this almost looks like it's new in terms of a new faction or some kind of new lore being explored, which does get me excited. Hopefully we finally see a questline exploring some kind of higher tech but completely new group to the area. And if anything, I almost get Big Mountain vibes from all of this, and it does sound like we are finally getting some more proper questing content. We haven't seen stuff like this for Fallout 76 in literal years, and last time around they really focused on more Brotherhood of Steel questing, which although fun, we have had a lot of that in the Fallout franchise, and exploring something new with Fallout 76 gets me excited. Although this could just end up actually being more Brotherhood of Steel content. The Brotherhood of Steel occupies Atlas Observatory in Fallout 76, which was running experiments on weather control. This building isn't Atlas Observatory, but this definitely could be weather control going on. Either way, the visuals here definitely look like it'll have that nice cross of wacky technology, but also dark future, and that does get me excited. And this expansion could even be coming sooner than you think. It seems like Fallout 76 is operating in almost a dual team style, where Double 11 and Bethesda Game Studios work on content together, but also work on content separately. So it seems like this new content is largely being made by Double 11, who previously previously worked on Nuka World on tour, while Bethesda Game Studios is largely handling the Atlantic City content. Double 11 is made up of several former mod authors, and having former modders being able to create new stories in the Fallout universe does get me pretty excited. But when it comes to Fallout 76, even in 2024, there are still reasons to keep your hype in check. Fallout 76 has had consistent problems with content being small, and even the most recent update released in quite a buggy state, requiring a hotfix almost immediately after. And just in general, they decided to break up the Atlantic City update into multiple parts, which definitely feels more like them drip feeding the content to us, as opposed to something that was genuinely warranted by such an abundance of new content. Bethesda has seen some major departures lately, like just this year, the design director on Fallout 76 left the company, the studio director at Bethesda Game Studios Dallas left last week. Bethesda Game Studios Dallas has helped largely on Fallout 76 and Starfield. They were actually the people behind most of the Battle Royale mode. And one of the lead writers on Starfield left with Will Shen, also known for their work on Far Harbor. Will Shen left to join Something Wicked Games, which was created by Jeff Gardner, the previous lead on Fallout 76. So those are the major things giving me reservations, but at the same time, a map expansion is definitely a big deal, and in the wake of Starfield's release, perhaps some extra manpower opened up, allowing Fallout 76 to finally get the amount of content it deserves. And I mean, frankly, it's not like we have another Fallout game coming out anytime soon, so it would be nice to see Fallout 76 have a bit of a resurgence right now. And one of the other stories to break recently was around more spin-off games. This all comes from Chris Avellone. He was one of the main minds behind Fallout New Vegas, and reportedly Obsidian had pitched to make another spin-off Fallout game and even a spin-off Elder Scrolls game, but Bethesda rejected their proposals. The story begins in early 2022, right around another wave of Fallout New Vegas 2 rumors, and one user commented about how higher ups at Microsoft seemed a bit more keen on the idea of a Fallout spin-off now. With Avellone responding, "I wouldn't be surprised. It's a good idea, but Bethesda never wanted to pursue it after New Vegas 1. Continuing on to say, "I don't even have an answer is the point. We did ask, repeatedly, even to do Elder Scrolls spin-offs in the style of Fallout New Vegas. Doing side games in the same franchise or alternate worlds? Nope. This was all just picked up again, and we even got more context from Avellone as he gave further responses. One of the Elder Scrolls proposals, which I pitched, was intended to serve the same function as Fallout New Vegas did between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, to provide more adventures in the setting during the years before the next Bethesda release. I thought it couldn't hurt to try and push a similar system to what Treyarch/Activision had going on with Call of Duty at the time, but hopefully less rushed. Bethesda could do a core release, then we'd release an Elder Scrolls title, in same world or divergent timeline/era before the next big Beth's push. Not surprisingly, it didn't gain much traction. I never got the impression Beth's was happy with Fallout New Vegas' reception, good and bad, with one such attraction being the state by which Fallout New Vegas released in, because Fallout New Vegas released in quite a buggy state. But to me, this is honestly kind of wild to look back on. Of course, Fallout New Vegas had issues on launch, but in the ensuing years, as fixes were posted, it became heralded as a truly great RPG. It's not like that's only a modern opinion. People have felt that for years now. So to have such success, but never capitalize on it again, just kind of seems insane to me. Especially as Bethesda likely knew they were staring down a gigantic gap in Elder Scrolls releases, the one we're still living in. Seemingly, Bethesda decided releasing Skyrim several more times, and then ESO was a better course of action than an Obsidian spin-off with the actual developers behind Fallout New Vegas. A lot of discussions now talk about how all of the people behind New Vegas have largely moved on, but no, it seems like Obsidian pitched Bethesda an Elder Scrolls spin-off with the same brilliant team that made what is arguably the best Fallout game ever. But even despite many people leaving, the sentiment is still there at Obsidian. We last heard from the CEO that he wants to work in another Fallout game before he retires. And perhaps also a Skyrim, because this all did almost come full circle with Avowed. We heard just recently how Avowed was actually Obsidian's take on Skyrim originally. Things eventually got reworked into what we saw in the most recent trailer, but as of right now, Avowed is slated to drop sometime in 2024, so it'll be interesting to see what the final product looks like. Although at the same time, I feel like we do have some legitimate evidence that a remake or remaster may finally be coming. Bethesda has long had a culture of saying no to remakes. We've seen this in interviews for years, and of course, even with some of the more profitable ventures, such as Obsidian, being shut down. But a few months ago, Microsoft accidentally leaked a bunch of internal Bethesda documents, and it seems like that trend is shifting. As you could see, Bethesda had multiple remasters in the works, or at least in the plans for them. This being remasters of both Oblivion and Fallout 3. So now you've probably seen this document, but I think the context around it is absolutely vital to understanding this, as this document's from 2020, and specifically this was drafted up before Microsoft bought Bethesda. It seems like this was actually shared during the negotiations as for what Bethesda had in the works at the time. So clearly Bethesda had plans to change their tune and start releasing remasters or remakes. And if anything, Microsoft buying them and then having access to way more manpower makes the likelihood of a remake seem even more likely. Microsoft has had some incredibly well done remakes that actually got new content and extended support, and perhaps the same may be coming from Bethesda. Could you imagine the hype of getting a Fallout 3 remake with mod support on consoles and Bethesda actually releasing some new content for Fallout 3? I feel like that would almost break the Fallout community, both in good ways and bad. Regardless of what you personally think about it, I think this new creations feature provides a very profitable blueprint that may have Bethesda reevaluating remasters. If you could remake a game and sell it, but then also get recurrent revenue in the form of paid mods being added to that game, all of a sudden the financial calculations for a Fallout 3 remake look a lot different and may start to actually make a lot of sense financially. And also from the perspective of the Game Pass economy. These are games with unbelievable staying power, and if you add in a modern coat of paint, modability, as well as a bunch of new content being sold by modders, I can see a Fallout 3 remaster or remake being a very popular option on Game Pass. And maybe even the news that dropped earlier today could all tie into this. Jill Braff was just announced as the new head of ZeniMax and Bethesda. It's not entirely clear what this will actually mean for the company, if anything at all. I mean, everything could look almost identical. Previously, Jill Braff was working at Microsoft under integrations and casual games at Xbox, so not entirely sure how that could be related. But yeah, honestly, I think this is one of those changes where we have no idea. Things may look exactly the same, or this could be the start of something and we could genuinely see a shift at the company. But as we look back at these plans for an Oblivion and Fallout 3 remaster, perhaps these really are coming, and maybe they're even being worked on right now. We've seen multiple mentions of some kind of unannounced project coming from Bethesda. And while we do know they have some kind of unannounced mobile project on the way, including even mentions of a proper Bethesda Game Studios mobile division, at least a couple of years ago, they also had plans for a couple of remasters. So I'm betting at least one of those is being worked on right now, and hey, it could even be this project mentioned here. And the reason this makes sense, even if a Fallout 3 remaster is still years away, is due to just how far Fallout 5 likely is. For a while, it was thought that Bethesda would finish up Starfield, move on to The Elder Scrolls 6, and then work on Fallout 5. But Todd Howard cleared that all up as he made it clear that Fallout 5 may not be next after The Elder Scrolls 6. They did confirm they have a one-pager over what they might do with the game, but while there have been some hopeful rumors of a 2026 release date for The Elder Scrolls 6, with Fallout 5, things are truly a mystery. This game might not even be in pre-production until the 2030s, let alone releasing anytime soon. There have been a bunch of rumors of other companies potentially working on a Fallout spin-off. The two big names mentioned are Obsidian or even In Exile, and both of those are incredibly exciting prospects. The issue being, both of those companies are also busy working on their own AAA games, and in Obsidian's case, actually working on multiple AAA games. So it's not like we'd see the Fallout spin-offs from them anytime soon either. So looking forward, we do find ourselves in a weird situation where 2024 is likely to be a gigantic year for Fallout, but mostly just as a result of a plethora of smaller scale free content releasing and then also a TV show coming out. If you're looking for a substantial piece of new Fallout content, the only thing you really have right now is mods, which speaking of, check out this video where I go over one of the best DLC size mods to ever come to Fallout 4, and it just came out a couple of months ago.